Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith. Welcome to the Grow Tent, everybody. You have found the best growing channel on YouTube, man. The place where we simplify the approach for you so everyone can learn how to grow. We make it so simple, even I can understand. So I'm going to listen and learn right now.
Woo! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Grow Tent. We got a great episode for you today. So we had a really cool viewer question, and they said they were confused by what the term sea of green meant or what it actually was. And they said, was it just having a full canopy so everything looked green? And it's actually not. A sea of green is actually an entire method of growing. You deal with higher plant counts, shorter veg times, and smaller plants. But by doing that, since your veg times are so short, you can actually get through your grows relatively quickly because you're running so many more plants than you normally would. The veg time shortens way down. Your workload does go up because you have more plants to take care of. But today we're going to discuss how you set up a sea of green, if that kind of growing is correct for you, and the really big benefits and a few of the drawbacks to growing in a sea of green, because there's definitely some huge benefits to doing it. There's a couple of drawbacks too, but they're pretty manageable. And so I just thought, hey, why don't we just do a video on sea of green? It'd be a great topic to cover. And I'm sure some people have never tried growing this way. If you've never tried growing a sea of green, I think you should probably try it. It's a great way to grow. We've done it a bunch of times on the channel in the past. Actually, whenever we're running through pheno hunts, a sea of green is a great way to go through a pheno hunt because you get to go through everything through veg, and you get to run a ton of different plants. So you can actually hunt down the phenos that you're looking for extremely fast by doing a sea of green method. So today we're going to talk about it. All right, but first, as always, the intro. Guys, if you, I don't even know if we can consider it an intro at this point because we're like 2 minutes into the video of me talking about the subject. Anyway, guys, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You want to hang out with me more, come on over to WTTGT. I'm sure you can figure out what to put after that, or just search for it. And you can hang out with me every single day. My memberships have a lot of really cool benefits, and yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, so no cut, no nothing, just straight into it. So what is a sea of green? A sea of green is a method or a style of growing, just kind of like scrog, or if you're going to put a scrog out or anything like that. It's just a method that we use to grow. So we have my 2x4 tent set up right back here, 2 foot by 4 foot. See, it even says right there. And we got our sea of green. So normally in a 2 foot by 4 foot, you would only be putting, 2 to 5 plants kind of in here total. If you're going to go to like a 3-gallon style pot, you're really only looking at, if you're going to do 3-gallon pots, you're really only looking at, 4 plants kind of top-ish. It'll get you a shorter veg time. But with a sea of green, we're actually going to load the whole bottom of the 2x4 up, and you're not going to go bigger than a 1-gallon pot. A 1-gallon pot's all the bigger you're going to go whenever we're doing the sea of green method, because we got so many plant counts that we have so many plants in here, we can't put them into bigger pots because they'll take up too much room and then it'll cut your plant count down. So generally, if I'm going to do a sea of green method, I will start them off in the cubes. They will spend their first 3 weeks of seedling stage in the little bitty cubes. After that, I'm going to put them into a solo cup for 2 weeks. So there'll be 3 weeks of seedling in the cubes, 2 weeks of, there's still technically 1 week in seedling stage and 1 week in veg of the solo cups, and then on their second week, which is going to be their last week, I only veg for 2 weeks. Whenever I'm going to be doing a sea of green, I will only veg them for 2 weeks. So one of the weeks they will be in the solo cup, and you can actually, if you want, you can skip that stage. I don't like to, because whenever I'm in the solo cup, I have them in Happy Frog, and as soon as I go into the 1-gallon pots, I have them in Ocean Forest. So I don't like to skip the solo cup stage whenever I'm going to be doing a sea of green, because I like them to have that little bitty start in the Happy Frog, and then whenever I like to transplant fresh into their final pot whenever we're going to be going into flower. So I will switch from Happy Frog in the solo, and then as soon as we're going into the 1-gallon pots, we're going to go straight into Ocean Forest. Now, the trick whenever you're doing a sea of green, you don't want branches on your plant. So whenever we're going for the sea of green, we just want one main stalk, and we just want one cola. We're just trying to go for one cola per plant. And whenever we're doing it this way, we don't want branches. So if we're growing branches, we're technically not doing a sea of green. Sea of greens are only one main stalk, one cola is what we're going for. We don't want them concentrating on spreading out the growth hormone or anything like that. We want everything concentrated. So if you get any branches or anything like that, we're just going to trim them up. We're going to trim them off, and all of our growth is going to be from one main cola per pot. And this is just, you can put more than 8 1-gallons in the 2x4. So I was just showing you how I kind of line them up whenever they're in there. You're just going to put as many of them in as you can in there. You're going to do a scrog net that actually has the bigger holes. Don't do the smaller holes. You're not going to have all those branches to fill them up. So whenever I'm doing this, I'll actually do like the 5-inch square scrog net that I'm going to put them up there. You're not scrogging though. You're not going to bend them, do anything like that. You're just going to use the scrog net for support for the one main cola. And that's, I mean, technically you don't have to put one up. But generally, whenever you do these sea of green methods, you actually do get some pretty nice sized colas whenever they don't have the energy, have to spread the energy around to the other branches. You're literally just going to have the one main cola coming up off of each of these. And whenever you're doing this, you're going to have all of these different plants, but they're not, since they're not going to have any branches, it's actually relatively easy to take care of them. The downside to the sea of green is you have all these different plants to take care of. So whenever you're watering, anytime I'm watering like this, where I do this sea of green, I actually don't put them in drip trays. So what I'll do is, because there's so many plants to water, let's say we jammed, I don't know, 15 1-gallon pots. Let's just say 12. 12's a better number. Let's say we jammed 12 1-gallon pots, because you can put, whenever I do this, my garden actually looks more like this. So I have these like 8 in a row right here, and then I'll have my other 4. So it actually more looks like that whenever you've got your sea of green in there. So you've got 12 plants in there. I don't ever just water these all individually. I'll just take, and I have the mat that comes in the bottom of these 2x4s. All tents have them. I'll actually just pour all of my water, since they're not sitting in drip trays. I'll pour all the water just into this, and then use it like a big flood and drain table. But for whenever I'm doing this, I'll just pour all the water into here, and then it'll water them all at the same time. Kind of saves you a bunch of time and trouble whenever you do it like this. But I got a giant hair on me. Whenever you're doing this, you're only going to veg for them for about 2 weeks. They're going to go directly into flower, because we don't need the branches. All that growing them longer will get you is just multiple branches. The plants start growing out. We don't want that. It's going to take away a bunch of time, and you don't need to do it when you're running this many plants. And since we're running this many plants, we have the shorter veg time, which gets us into flower quicker. I don't change anything about my feeding schedule whenever I'm running this many plants. I still feed on a water, feed schedule. Since the plants aren't very big, generally they only will go through about 200-ish ppm a week. So whenever I'm feeding them, they will get a 500 ppm feeding. Whenever it's 500 to 600, usually it ends up around 550 to 580 whenever I'm just following my general hydroponic schedule. And they will only get that because since we're not dealing with even medium-sized plants, these are very small plants with only one single cola that they're trying to grow. They generally do not eat a ton of food because they're so much smaller. So when you're growing like this, you actually will save a little bit on nutrients, because you don't have to make a bunch, and since you're not dealing with big plants, they don't eat a ton. So you can actually dial your nutrients back whenever you're growing like this, just because smaller plants don't eat as much. It works the same, the biology works the same whether we're dealing with plants, animals, or people. I am going to eat more than a 5-year-old kid would eat. An adult lion eats more than a cub. It's no different with the plants. The bigger plants eat more. It's just the way it works. So you can grow like this and not have to go through a bunch of food. You have a shortened veg time. The only downside is you have more plants to take care of. So since you have more plants to take care of, it's more pots to look after, it's more lollipopping to do, it's more trimming of the branches to do. But since the plants are small, it's actually not a ton of work. It's a lot of prep. So like when you're transplanting 4 plants, pretty easy. You're transplanting 12 plants. It's a lot more to do. It amplifies the amount of stuff that you have to do. You have to lollipop 12 plants instead of 4 plants. That's the trade-off here. The trade-off is short veg times, a little bit more work to go over. But if you've never tried this, I'd say try it just once, because it's not like it takes a long time to get through. You're going to run through this really quick. I mainly use Sea of Greens for pheno hunting. So I'll take, this process runs about an extra week for me, because I'll pull clones off of all of these. I'll use the branches that they're going to give, let them grow an extra week, and then I'll pull clones off everything, and then I will flip this all into flower, and I can run through pheno hunts really quickly and check all the different ones, and then I just take the clone and turn it into a mother of the one that I liked. I kill all the other clones off, and that's how I run through my pheno hunts very quickly. Is I do it Sea of Green style in 2x4s. This is exactly how I find the cultivars that I want for my breeding projects. So Seas of Green, that's what I do with it. But a lot of people use this just for growing, because they like the short bench time. They don't mind a little bit of extra work, and they use this just because it's a quicker way to grow, just a slight bit more work. All right, so I hope that adequately explained Sea of Green. All right, I hope you guys all have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you guys next time.